All right, we are live. Hey, when it's Gordon. Trust everyone's having an amazing day, amazing weekend. Just set up here, just getting set up. So please bear with me, be patient, and we're gonna get started shortly. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything is set up. Waiting for our special guest, Mr. Byron Nelson, to join us shortly as well. And I'm just going to go double check to make sure that we are live in all our various different platforms as well. So, today is our special book launch for Land for Success, Volume 3. I want to thank everyone who's already purchased a copy, who's been supporting us in the last couple of days by buying a copy of Land for Success, Untold Stories. That's now on Amazon and leaving some pretty amazing five-star reviews as well. So if you haven't had a chance to go to Amazon, whether it's in Canada, the US, whatever country you're in, please do that today if you can, because we're right in the middle of our book launch right now. So if you could do us a huge favor, every purchase will help us get closer to the number one international bestseller. But again, go to check out some of the reviews, the five-star reviews, honest reviews from what what our readers are saying. I think you'll be really impressed with all these short stories of immigrants and business owners who are starting out in their own business. So I'm just going to put this on mute for a second. Come right back. Okay, I am back. We are in the middle of a snowstorm here and in Toronto. I hope everyone's safe and warm out there. And our special guest just called me, and he's going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. So please, um, please share this. Please tag, share, tell a friend about us, because we truly want to get Land for Success out there to as many people as possible. I want you to meet all the authors, read their stories, learn each one of their challenges, each one of their struggles, each one of their journeys, their hows, their whys, how they survived, how they thrived, and perhaps how their story could inspire you to find your landed for success story. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so please be patient, you guys. Dr. Byron Nelson is going to be with us shortly, and I'm just actually tagging out to a few more friends right now to make sure that they know about this. You guys are in for a real treat. You guys heard me talk about Byron. We've been friends for 3 decades, for over 3 decades. This is a individual that I have so much respect for. We have done events, business together in so many different countries around the world. And I had somebody they have an organization of 40,000 plus insurance brokers, where they asked me for someone who could teach, inspire, motivate, coach, mentor. And you guys know who I would recommend every single time. So today you are going to get a real treat from him on the power of the human spirit, the mind, how to get rid of stinking thinking, how to stop feeling sorry for ourselves, how to rid ourselves of doubts. Anybody out there, type the word doubt if you ever experienced doubt in your mind, in your business. Does anybody here experience things that we need to rid of, right? Like anger, right? Um, Feeling sorry for ourselves. I just cannot think of a better performance coach, a transformational coach, than Mr. Byron Nelson, who's going to join us in a few minutes. So if you guys are watching, please do me a huge favor. Get your friends, get them to come on here. Get them to come on here. The next 20, 30 minutes literally will transform your mindset, your personal development, your personal growth. And like Tony Robbins says, your personal growth always precedes your financial growth. How many of you would agree with that? So many of us think, okay, I just need to know what to do, how to do. And I've seen so many people invest hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, which I think you should. Like Warren Buffett says, the best investment we ever make is in ourselves. You guys agree with that? So I've seen it over and over again. And at the same time, I've seen individuals that are still absolutely flat broke despite of all the investments that they've made themselves, because they really haven't surrounded themselves, I believe, with the right coaches, the right mentors, the right mastermind, the right master alliances, or individuals that truly care about them, where they can actually support each other, right, and be accountable to each other. And I love our community of authors and members in Land for Success, because we can keep each other accountable. Look, one of our authors in Volume 2 created an app, a mobile app. I shouldn't say it's a mobile, but it's an app specifically for the insurance industry. And I would have never met this person if it wasn't through Jay Kenton, the co-founder of our company here. So Jay introduced me to someone who became a member, who became an author. They had an app. And I was able to introduce them to someone who has over 80,000 insurance agents. Isn't that crazy? And now they're doing business together. I mean, if you develop an app for an insurance company and you could be introduced to a company that has 80,000 insurance agents, do you think that would give you a leg up? I think so, right? We have another member who is just incredible. You heard me interview him yesterday, Daniel Pewter. He is such an incredible, gifted, motivational, inspirational speaker, helping youth today by starting 9 academies across the United States, working with kids that have special educational needs. And Daniel himself, you guys, was someone who ended up in juvie. And I love one of the things he said to me a long time ago. He said, hurt people hurt people. How many of you guys would agree with that? That hurt people hurt people. And so my guest is going to be here in a second, so I'm going to wrap up with the story. So Daniel says, hurt people. My guest is going to be here, and I'm going to start in a second, you guys. So Daniel said, hurt people. So you know what he did? He ended up in juvie at age 16, and he said, that was my wake-up call. And so what happened was he became an MMA fighter, and he never lost a fight. Because remember, growing up, he was bullied. And then I don't know if you guys have heard of the WWE wrestling. My kids tell me I'm crazy because when my parents first immigrated here, as an 8 or 9-year-old, I woke up to a black and white TV and I watched a couple of shows, Bugs Bunny, Flash Gordon, and wrestling. So I grew up watching wrestling, professional wrestling. And so Daniel, in season two, he won WWE's Tough Enough $1 million prize. And he gave up all that fame, and he started an academy for high school kids where some of them would be dead on the street or on drugs today. And now he's got 9 academies across the country. And we're in the middle of negotiating a speaking engagement right now for a number of our speakers in Macau. Who would like to go to Macau, right? And so can you imagine having someone like that? And what's really neat is he's now tied in with a professional boxer. He's a guy, remember, he bit someone's ear off. So the group over there, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, South Asia, they're involved in white-collar boxing. So who better than have an MMA fighter who's never lost a match, or someone who's been a world champion at the heavyweight champion level that could potentially be a fit with some of our authors, coaches, and speakers as we travel the world together. All right, so our amazing guest speaker is here right now. This sounds too informal because we're online right now, but I'll tell you what, this individual has never, ever let me down. We're in the middle of a snowstorm right now. He has things he's got to take care of. He's got family things he has that's important as well. But he never, ever stops to be of service. And every single year I can remember whether it's the Empower and Succeed series, whether it's now Landing for Success, he will hop on here so we can have a conversation together. So every one of us can learn how to land for success. Doesn't matter what level we are in life. What Mr. Nelson taught me was this: at every level, there's a new devil, right? So when we think we're successful, life throws up another curveball. So over the next 10, 15, 20 minutes, I would love for him to share with us, what does it mean for us to land for success? And more importantly, I encourage you to go and support our authors and pick up a copy today during our book launch for Land for Success. It's only 99 cents for a Kindle version. We're already #1 in Canada. We're at 29 in the United States right now. So that's why I call it the Michael Jordan, right? To help us get to #1 in the United States. I believe in the US, it's only 71 cents. So I'm going to stop talking, and I want you to, I know you guys, wherever you are, okay, at home, wherever you are, just put your hands together. Welcome my amazing friend, Dr. Byron Nelson.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me clearly?
Absolutely. How's it going?
I've been trying to just figure out a good space to have the conversation and just get settled. So I'm good. I'm great.
You're Canadian now. Like, you're here in the snowstorm.
Oh, this Canadian weather. Yeah,
What are you doing here?
the whole ecosystem, man, just amazing.
Yeah,
Just I'm just holding space. That's what I do. That's the definition of me is holding space.
amazing. I got a quick
Excited.
question. I did share on your Facebook timeline. I'm not sure if there's any way you're able to share
Uh,
that
yeah,
to some of the
let
folks you know or not.
give me 1 second and I will. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
Okay.
Let's see here. Go here. We go here. We go here.
I think I tagged you, so I don't know. It'd be
Yep.
great if some of the folks you know
Yep.
could
You sure did.
join it
Let
as
me
well,
see.
because I think, in addition to my friends, I think some of your
Uh-huh.
guys need a kick in the rear too.
Oh,
I mean,
everyone
every
does.
now and then we all need an attitude adjustment, right? And I can't think of a
Yeah.
better person to hold us accountable, to hug us, and both, kick us at the same time. Byron, you're the only person that I know who can do that.
Let's see here. I'm loving you.
And if you guys have any questions, write them in the comments. Okay, please write them in the comments. Land for Success in the comment. Please share with us, what is your definition of Land for Success? Like, what does landed for success mean to you? Land for success. What does it mean to you? Is it time freedom? Is it money freedom? Is it having a better relationship with your children, people you work with? What does land for success actually mean to you? So I've been told that as soon as we're done, I've been in front of the computer for 48, 72 hours now, nonstop. My goal is to make sure that our authors get the recognition they deserve. We not only become #1 here in Canada, but in India. We're going to be #1 in the United States. They're going to be #1 international bestsellers everywhere. And somebody asked me, Byron, Gordon, are you still wearing the same shirt? Yeah, I haven't changed my shirt for like 48 hours now. I'm like so focused, you guys. I'm so focused and wanted to make sure that you guys understand that the stories, the vulnerability of each one of these authors and writing their short stories is just absolutely brilliant, incredible. Some of their stories, I don't know if I'd be brave enough myself to be sharing the way they did, but it's so inspiring, so uplifting, you guys. And JJ Akanth, my co-founder here at Atlanta for Success, when we first started, we thought, let's just feature stories of immigrants, because we're both immigrant kids, right? I grew up as 8, 9 years old. My parents immigrated from Hong Kong to here. Jay immigrated here as a teenager. And if you read his story, he could have so easily been in the wrong crowd. Can anyone relate to that? And you got to read his story. I wish I could share his story with you, but we started with stories with immigrants, and then a friend said, "Well, I'm not an immigrant, but I got a pretty powerful story as well." Byron, are you frozen? Byron, are you frozen? Looks like his picture is frozen, you guys. Hopefully he'll come back on. So it started out with just individuals who said, I have some immigrant stories to share. And again, we had individuals who said, no, I'm not an immigrant. Like, Dr. Tom Chester, who's here right now, an incredible, extremely successful businessman, working with some of the top leaders in the country and all around the world. So Tom's not an immigrant, but he's got a great story, incredible story that he's sharing. Some of these stories, I'll promise you guys, going to put tears in your eyes. Some of them they're going to make you cry. Some are going to make you cry. Some of them are going to inspire, motivate you to land for success. And so, again, I can't think of a better person right now to talk to us today about landed for success. Oh, and J. Jack Hanton is here. And I do want you guys to know that the Malaysian South India Chamber of Commerce has given Dr. Nelson here a honorary doctorate for international business. And so that beautiful certificate is still coming in and on its way. So once again, welcome, Doc.
Looking forward to that. Hey, I believe we're all present. You might, if you can check my Facebook, you might be able to see. I believe I just put a post up, and I wanted to make sure that the link was live. So I sent Wendy a text to make sure that the link was visible on my page. So
okay, I don't see it yet, but hopefully Wendy will take care of that. But thank you once again for being here. Yeah,
definitely. So what are we talking about? Getting successful and landing on our feet. I'm in.
Is there a difference between the two, do you think, or do the two
No, that's how you
correlate?
land for success.
All right, talk to me, tell me, tell us.
I just feel like, I just had it seems like it's an ongoing process, right? A good friend of mine died on this past week in a head-on collision from a snowmobile to a car. One of
Oh
my
no.
closest friends, and it really just brought home. And I was training earlier this week on Friday in regards to understanding the sensitivity of understanding, or even more so, the fragility of our lives, and how much we need to take it more seriously, and how we need to step into our ownership of who we are, what we're doing, and our passion and our purpose. And if what you're doing is not purposeful, intentional, and passionate, it's a waste of a life. And so that's really what fills up a cup to be able to land on your feet for success. I found that there's nothing that evades us or eludes us to be able to access everything that we've ever wanted, to be able to live just the most amazing life while we're blessed enough to be here. But it does come with an extraordinary amount of work. And I believe that's where people miss the mark, is the work.
Wow.
you know, they really do. I look at, and I use the example of basketball.
Well, I mean, what do you mean work? You don't need to
Well, I'll give
work
you
to
an
be
example.
successful.
I know, right? You look at it, the NBA has 455 players. There's a cap of 100 and I believe $53 million that you can pay to each player on an NBA team. Yet you have a Steph Curry or you have a LeBron that are all generating in excess of, Katie, 38 to $40 million. So you've given away a third of your money to one player. So you look at the majority of 455 people, most of them are on minimum wage. If that's, nobody would complain in minimum wage in the NBA or in the NHL, right? But their minimum, the minimums, I believe, are about 1.5 to $2 million. So you're playing on a team with one person that's making 40 million for the year, and another person's making 1.5 for the year. You're on the same team. You're playing the same game. You're playing for the same goal, but one is making 40 million and another is making 1.5. What's the distinction between the two? It's not the talent, It's the work. So
Wow.
you look at somebody like a LeBron, who I do not consider one of the most talented players to ever play the game. He's one of the most skilled people to ever play the game, who's put in more work than anybody has ever put in the entire industry of the game since its inception on himself to be able to play 20 years and still be in the top 5 players in the entire game. Not still in the league, but we're talking about the highest level and the highest frequency of professionalism, of working your body at the highest mental level. And you're still in the top 5 players on the planet to play a game 20 years later. You're playing against the people you beat at 23 and 24 years old for championships. You took them to school. As a child, you were taking them to school because of the work you put in on your skill set. And now you're taking their children to school. He is playing against the children of the people he beat for championships 2 decades ago.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's insane, you know, and that's not a that's not a luck. That's not a fluke. You look at people that are tapping into the energy, right? Gets into the trend of what energy or what frequency you're playing on. It never changes. I'm
Wow.
coaching someone right now, and they were like, "Well, I'm shifting lanes right now. I'm going from being a coach in leadership over here to being a leader and a coach in this arena. And it's just new territory for me."
Mm.
And so I'm sitting back and I'm coaching and I'm saying, "Can I ask you a question?" And they're like, "Yeah." I said, "Is 4 times 4 16 in the United States?" They said, "Yes." I said, "How about in Australia, Hong Kong, Canada, Mexico? Does the equation change? So why would it matter when it comes to becoming a leader that the equation for being a leader and being an extraordinary asset of bringing value to people's lives, why would it change based on the demographic in which you're executing the same skill set to become extraordinary? It doesn't. That's a story we tell ourselves when we have to shift. See, when I talk about passion, purpose, and intention, we're talking about your destination, your destiny. You never get to your destination the way you think you're going to get there. There could be a train. There could be, right now in Canada, like you said, there's a storm. It stormed 4 days in rain in California. You may have a bike or you may have a motorcycle and you can't drive in a motorcycle. The vehicle may change. The direction may change. You may have to go around a city. There could be something that is impeding you from getting to where you need to go. So you'll find a different direction, but the destiny never changes.
Mm.
So that's where the work comes in, where so many people throw in the towel and quit before they even get started because
Wow.
they were never really living. They were never really committed. It's like, I look at the blessings that are bestowed upon those that are considered lucky, and nobody is lucky. As you and I both know, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Mm.
We're currently working without divulging too much information on some deals that will truly generate for the people in our tribe billions of dollars.
Mm.
And I was able to get this information of what we're doing right now between India as well as in Africa, you know. But to one's ignorance, there's people out there who still think Africa is a country, not understanding it's a
Mm.
continent.
Wow.
So a person that does not get where they need to be or land in a space of success, it's not to their stupidity, it's to their ignorance. They didn't work hard enough to extract the information and the knowledge that could give them a calculated risk where the odds are in their favor to win. And so my destination has never changed. The core of who I am has never shifted. So the time right now, or the season that we're in right now, to understand the essence of landing for success is you got to know how to shift. In the pandemic, you had to know how to shift. When you come out of the pandemic, you have to know how to shift. I just saw they laid off, I believe it was 50,000 people from Google, and people that have been in the country, in the US, for over 15 years, 17 years, got an email and told them in 48 hours their job is terminated. And they got it
Wow.
at home because they were working from home, because obviously we're talking about Google, we're talking about working from computers, we're talking about being able to take your work anywhere, the portability of what this new digital landscape has allowed us and afforded us. So it was a husband and wife, and they like, one is yelling from the kitchen, the other from the bathroom. I got locked out. What's your code? They thought there was just a glitch.
Hmm.
No, they had been fired. And if they don't figure out how to get another job within 48 hours, I'm sorry, I believe it's they have 60 days, they have to go back to their homeland.
Wow.
So my
Incredible.
word, I use that as a metaphor, it's a true story, by the way. I use that metaphorically that people need to know how to shift.
Hmm.
Most people are living in a scarcity mentality until you shift into an abundant mentality, knowing that you have everything and more than you need in this lifetime. Again, I was coaching a student on their language and what comes out of your mouth. She continued to say need. I need this. I need that. I need to get to a place. I said, just you saying need consistently shows me that you have a scarcity mentality, because
Hmm.
those that live in an abundant mentality, I don't need anyone or anything. What I desire, shifting and changing your vocabulary, understanding the etymology of words and the root of how they bring life. Because we know from a spiritual perspective, from the tongue, you can bring life or death. So to be able to just shift and create a new vocabulary from I need to I desire, or this is what I specifically want in my life, personally or business wise. This is what I want, and this is the only thing I'll settle for.
Hmm.
Shifts
So let
everything.
so let me
Mhm.
ask you this: to shift, is it something that someone can be able to do instantaneously? Is it days, weeks, months, a lifetime? What, from your
So
experience?
the shift happens with the beginning phase, as you know, in everything to the word a decision, right? So DE, as we've talked about before, it comes from the derivative there, which it came from, of day, DE, from the Latin derivative, if you will, and to side, suicide, genocide, patricide, homicide, to kill off every other option. It starts with a decision. Now, that decision propels you to everything else that's going to take place. Never when you want it to happen, but it will always happen. So, shift, the acronym itself, the S stands for start. Most people never start. They think about it, they talk about it, they storyboard it, they even get involved with it. They can even be involved with several projects that are pertaining to whatever it is they think they made a decision about. But a decision immediately propels you into action, that every day and every moment of your life, you are moving closer to getting to your destination. Even in the failures, the wisdom of knowing what not to do gets you closer to where you need to be. Most people procrastinate, have great conversations, want to talk about it, want to tell the world. They're spending more time on social media, they're spending more time on watching TikToks, or they're spending more time on trying to create their own brand through, okay, I'm gonna now blow up on YouTube. I'm now gonna blow up on Facebook. No, I'm gonna hire somebody, employ somebody like Jay who has the knowledge, employ somebody who has the background of being able. I'm having a brand manager that handles all my social media. I very rarely am even on social media these days. I may scan it from time to time when I go to a speaking event because I know people are looking for me. But aside from that, I have no, unless you're going to make millions out of social media, and that is going to be your lane. It's the new television on steroids. Exponentially, more people spend more time watching somebody else's life miserable with their own. So that S in shift is a matter of starting and finishing, which you come into, right? That S, you go from the S to the H. The H in shift represents where you are, where you've been, and where you're going. What is happening right now? Are you present to right now and what you need to come up with solutions for right now? That and when you're really in the what I call the rabbit hole of success, when you're landed in that rabbit hole of success, you are so full, so passionate. You really do live out Les Brown's words, which is live full, die empty. There's nothing left in the tank when you pass out at night because you're so excited about what you're pursuing. You're so jacked out of your mind about knowing where you're going. What are you excited about that is going to take place today, tomorrow, and the next day is the journey of creating moments that are unforgettable in the journey, not the destination. So success is not the destiny or the destination, it's the journey. It's the uncovering, it's the scaling, it is peeling back the onion, it's getting to the depth, it is the learning process, it's the investing in yourself, it's the commitment level, it's the consistency. It's knowing that you're serving at the highest frequency and surrounded by people that are of the same mindset, desire that you have. So the S where I started with start, and you can actually, S is actually interchangeable with another word, which is for me, student. You have to be a student. You have to get mentorship. You have to have someone who understands the blueprint, someone who's an engineer that can rewrite your story, rewrite everything that you're doing. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I'm gonna speed this up so I can give you uh, what I call the 7 spaces of being able to shift. So you have the H, which is happening. Where am I right now? Where did I come from to utilize that as wisdom? And where am I going so that I'm very clear about what I'm putting in the GPS to get to my destination? That would be the H. The I is the interior. Who sits at my table? Who can I call? That is, when I call, they're excited. When Gordon calls me, I get excited. When Jay, I mean, I only want people calling on my phone, you know, that are going to ignite me, that are going to get me excited about being able. It's like, okay, I know we're about to talk about something that's just going to be next level.
Well, I
Because
don't mean to jump in. I think last night I said, "Where are you?" Right? Literally, I need help. And I woke up in the morning and you were excited to be here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
excited, it's my pleasure. I mean, it's my honor. You know, I mean, you surround yourself with people who just really, they're Christmas presents. They are, you know, their birthday presents. You can't unwrap it fast enough to know that certain people take you to another space, another level, another la la land. It brings out the inner child in you. You get excited about the new playground. Okay, where are we going? What are we gonna do? What are we going? Let's just go find something in nature. Let's just go. Oh, you see that tree? Let's go crawl. Oh, there's a fruit. I've never seen that before. What is that? A kumquat? Is that a pomegranate? What is that? It's all red. It just stained my hands. You're just the kid in you. You just let's run in the rain. Let's just have fun. Not constantly attempting to sound or be more intelligent than you are, and you're getting paid at a second grade level, talking like you're in a 10th grade level, not understanding nobody's listening to you in the first place because you haven't even made it fun, you know? So when you look at what is happening in my life, what am I doing in this season? What Because if I can't get excited about my life and what I'm doing in this season, how can anybody around me get excited? How can I enroll or sequester or summon help with getting something done and I'm just involved with the process? I'm not committed. I'm not sold out.
Hmm.
It's an energy. It's almost like a dog or a bear or a lion. The animalistic instinct, they can sniff out weakness in another individual. Well, the human can sniff out bullshit in another individual. That you are not really sold out and committed on this. You're just doing it to either make money or you're doing it because it's interesting for the season or it just has your attention for a space of time. because you're into this and you're into this and you're into this. There's no congruency to your life. Hold it. First, you were trying to sell me on crocheting, and now you're trying to sell me on plumbing. Now, all of a sudden, you want me to get into painting. Now, all of a sudden, you want me to become a mechanic. You have no identity. Who are you?
Mm. Wow. So
You
let me
know?
ask you this: if somebody is like someone is not, if their life isn't actually in that space or predicament right now, they're all over the place, no focus. What would you say to somebody if you were actually coaching them right now? If they
Hmm.
were coachable, what would you what would be some of the things you would do for someone
I
like that?
actually have, I love, as much as I talk badly about social media, there is a polarized side to it. Never have we had access to the information that we have today. That is a pro and a con. The pro, well, let's deal with the con first. The con is that people don't do R&D, research and development. The con is that people do not look up words. The con is people don't have to look up what they're going to write or what they're going to actually research to be able to do a topic when they're in elementary, junior high, or high school, or do a paper or a thesis when they're in college. So we were forced to do that, right? So that's the con, is that the reason why people like you and myself and so many others, I remember as a child, I had a minimum of 120 numbers in my head. Today, if you ask me to call my mother, I'd have to look at my cell phone to pull up the number. So because
Wow.
we
Wow.
have completely watered down the muscle of the mind. It is so meat and so we have a monster of a machine that we've been blessed with, that's more powerful than 1,000 locomotives,
Yeah.
that we have. It's a muscle, right? So if you have a
Yes.
racehorse,
Yes.
if you have a thoroughbred that was built to win the Derby, it was built. It was
Yes.
in fourth generation. It's a purebred. This monster, he doesn't know how to stay still. He runs. I mean, he was in the field. This horse guaranteed to get you millions of dollars and run at the highest level. And you cage him for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. At some point, he loses his will to run. He doesn't lose his pedigree, but he forgets who he is, and the power and the thrust and the freedom to max out his ability, his innate ability to be a beast amongst other, of his kind. That's what we've done to our brain. Now, on the other side, because we can access information, I have my favorite television show is YouTube. You can learn anything on YouTube. Like
Mm.
anything, like anything, anything.
Anything.
Um, and I can spend the whole day on just giving you examples.
Yep.
But what I will share is what I fell in love with. There's this one piece. And the reason it comes to mind when you ask that question is I have a project I'm working on now. And she vomits. And when I say vomits, that means they have all this stuff that's caught up in their head, congested. It's in my second part. I'm about to give you the second. And I just pull up now what I would say in an hour. I send them a video. And the video, and I want everybody to pull it up. It's called Bob Hart. Bob Hart was one of the most amazing comedians. He was right up there with so many other people, but just an amazing comedian. He was Seinfeld before Seinfeld. That's who Bob Hart was. Hart, by the way. And he has this one piece. You see it in less than like 3 minutes, and it's called "Stop It." And I make them pull that out whenever they start talking about stuff that means nothing and they're lost. Stop it. And I'll send it to them like 4 or 5 times throughout the day. Just stop it, and they'll just start laughing because The key is to be able to disrupt and distract. You have to create new patterns. So people that are lost in that space, I'm that coach that literally puts my, I'm not, every coach is not for everybody. I'm very clear about that. Every mentor is not for everybody. I don't even like call myself a coach. I say that because my people say, hey, coach. But as a mentor, I'm that person who put my foot on your neck and just completely become a disruption to your life. Once I've been given permission, once I'm paid to do what I do and given permission, I'm the type of person that a person is scared to employ because listen to this. This is good. Because most people who say this is what I want, they really don't want it. Because if they get it, they have to lose the story and the excuse for all their failures for the rest of their life.
Oh, wow. That's so powerful. Say that again. Say that again.
So most people who say this is what I want to be successful. I want to make X amount of dollars. I want to get to the 7-figure part, Dr. Nelson. I want to change my life. I want to I want to break away from these relationships that I've been in. I want to shift from the type of men or women that I've been attracting. I want to elevate myself to to a whole nother place. I'm ready for change. It's 2023. I am ready to be. I'm ready. Let's go. It's a new year. I want a new life. They're lying. And they're lying
Wow.
because they're scared of having to let go of the story that they've utilized as a system running like a computer that you don't turn off in the background your whole life. That what happens if I lose my excuse that I didn't have a good father? What happens when I lose the story that I didn't have a good mother, that I was a single parent, that I grew up in an orphanage, that I grew up in the hood, that my mom was on drugs, my mom was too stern. I grew up in a rich family. I got everything. They didn't allow me to grow up and be. So, I mean, I, I never had friends. What happens when I lose that story and I have to take responsibility for my own life, for being great, for being the greatest version of myself?
Wow.
It's extraordinary. So in that
That's
shift, right? In that shift, I'm gonna finish shift and then hold those questions, keep it there, and I'm gonna get through that. So you have the start and the student, then you have what's happening now, then and coming, and then you have the interior, who sits at your table, who's your counsel, who raises the bar for you, and then the F, it has to be fun. If I can't have fun, I'm not doing it. When I talk to Gordon, I have fun. I don't want all work and no play makes Johnny a dull
yeah.
kid, right? I have to enjoy at this stage of my life, even when I work out, my workouts, I enjoy even as much as I don't want to go. The hardest thing to do is to what? Start to go.
Wow.
Right? We all know how to get in shape. Then why are people so obese?
Mm.
We all know how to have beautiful skin. Why don't we do facials every night and make sure we go through a procedure? That's too tedious, too much work. I'll just wash my face and go to bed. We all know how to never go to the dentist. And why haven't you flossed your whole life? See, all
Mm.
these things are indicative and truly signs as to who you really are. You say you don't want the pain of a root canal. You say you don't want the pain of going to see. I don't like dentists. You know why you don't like dentists? Because you always got to go there. If you didn't have to go to a dentist, you love dentists. You're like, I love my dentist. I only go to get my teeth cleaned.
Wow. That's
So
incredible.
these attachments, right? So the fun, and then the last one in T is it's always um, how many quarters is in the hockey game? Because I know you love hockey. How many quarters?
Three.
Three
Three.
quarters. 3 quarters.
Yeah.
You know the most important time of that game. How many people are actually on the ice? For
Uh,
one team. For one team. For one team.
12. A goalie and
12.
five players.
The goalie and
12.
5 players. 12,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So there's 12 people, but on one team there's 5 and the goalie, correct?
Yes.
But in the last 3 minutes of that hockey game, since I know there's quite a few Canadians on here, in the last 3 minutes of the basketball game, in the NFL championship we
Yes.
just watched, He ran out on the 1 yard line with 2 minutes left. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Guess what happened in the hockey game in that last 2 minutes, and the basketball game in that last 2 minutes, and that football championship game in the last 2 minutes? So I believe there's 12 people out on the field for football. I believe, off the top of my head. Let's just say, because I'm not a football buff in that capacity, that there's 12. In the last 2 minutes, a 13th player shows up. In basketball, in the last 2 minutes, if it's a tight game, they don't have 5 people on the court on their team. They got 6. You just said there's 6 hockey players out there, the goalie and 5 players. Last 2 to 3 minutes, it's 0-0. Nobody scored. And the team that is the most prepped, that is the most solid, that is the most well versed team, the one that put in the work, a 7th player on that hockey floor. They get a seventh player on that hockey floor. And his name is Time. Time becomes the
Wow.
7th player. Time will either work like hell for you and kick everybody's, or it will defeat you because you are not prepped for the game that you said you wanted to win.
Wow. That's incredible.
So,
Right to
yeah.
the end, right? Right down to the end. Byron, I'm a hockey fan, as you know, and last night there's a guy named William Nylander, very skilled, and a lot of people have complained about him on the Toronto Maple Leafs for the last
Hey,
5 years.
Pastor. I'm sorry, Pastor's on with us. I
Look,
just saw that.
he says,
Hi,
"Hey, you two."
sister.
What's too funny? When you were talking about people who foster homes and so on, I was literally going to say, what is the difference between the Robert Hollises and the Stephen Pashas and the Byron Nelsons of the world? And then Pasha shows up. Is that incredible?
You know what? I'm so not surprised with the universe. And me and Pasha have had this conversation. I can think about Stephen Pasha and out of nowhere, we just like you, there's that frequency, right? When you know
Yes.
who's at your table, you know. And what was really amazing is I had a speaking engagement the same day she did, just a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, where she was invited to be on the panel and speak to Yale. There's no way we would have thought that the tables that we sit at right now, that we're being sequestered and requested for, that we would be sitting at. There's no way we even entered, Gordon, back when we all met over damn near 3 decades ago, that we would be where we are. But that's what separates, like you said, the Robert House. It's what separates the cream from the coffee.
Yes. Wow.
And that really screams into what I just said as far as the work, the people that are willing to put in the work, right? And a lot of people think that you got to work. The work means, I love Pastor's statement. Pastor, she looks at projects, um, and you find the philosophies that work for you, right? One of her philosophies is, if it looks like work, I'm not doing it.
Pasha,
Now,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
but it does. But a person who doesn't have the understanding, doesn't have the clarity, and does not have the comprehension level, can easily hear that and be like, "Oh, so you don't want to work?"
Mm,
No, it means that when I'm doing what I love doing, being a
yes.
mother, when I'm
Yes.
doing what I love doing, which is creating, when I'm doing what I love doing, which is writing, whatever it is I love doing, it's not work for me, which means I'm having fun for the rest of my life and getting paid for it.
Yes.
And I'm able to work, if you want to put that title on it, longer, harder, and stronger than anybody else because you interpret it as work.
Mm,
We don't interpret it, what we do, as work. If I get a phone call that I do not believe is aligned with contributing towards my destination, because everybody wants, I mean, the way God works through me specifically is he keeps my circle really tight and really small to understand what to let in and what not to. And the difference is knowing the distinction between not the negative people, not the bad people. That's like dog crap on the bottom of your foot. You can smell that a mile away. A lot of people are like, I'm going to keep bad people. Or I just keep. It's not that. It's the good people who have good intentions that don't take the time to learn how to serve you at the highest frequency that create congestion in your life. And you can't figure out why you're over chaotic, if that makes any sense. It's the difference of good versus great.
Wow.
The
That's
great
incredible.
people know how to hold space for you. The great people are looking to serve you. The great people, as we call leaders, leaders do things without you having to ask. That's one reason I have had love affair with you for the last 3 decades. Stephen Passion, the people I have in my world, they are consistently looking to serve without exchange.
Wow.
Without exchange. They are not looking for, okay, this is what it's going to cost you. It's just done. It's like we'll worry about money on the back end.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? It's handled. It's
Yeah.
like I don't, me and Steve, I mean, those are relationships I enjoy the most where I don't have to figure out, does this person have an angle? Does this person have an agenda? Is this going to cost me money every time I show up? I just did this for Camille. I showed up for her down in where there
Yeah.
was
In
a,
Florida. In
down in
Florida.
Florida,
Yeah.
there was a debacle behind someone that we know in common that is a large leader and speaker, and I turned down $30,000 speaking engagement to speak for 4 hours
Mm.
on that Saturday to go down there on my dime and raise money for her, and did an extraordinary job of just, they're blowing up the
Yes.
phone today, right? It's
Amazing.
like to reverse engineer the entire process. See, I don't mind giving away the gift so long as I know that the seed that's being sown is in the fertility or the fertilization of people who understand the river of reciprocity.
Wow. It's beautiful.
I mean, there's a difference between why it's called the Dead Sea. Everything that goes in dies. There's certain
Wow.
people that show up as charlatans and chameleons, and all they have is their agenda at hand. They don't have your best interest at heart. Not necessarily making them wrong. They just don't know any other way because that's the way they've been their whole life.
Yes.
But until you find that, like for example, the training I did where I told you that plays into shift, it's about rewire. It's called rewire. The shift right now is about rewire. I'm gonna give you 7 bullet points on how to rewire. Everything is RE, right? In the shift, the first thing what you have to do to be able to create this shift, and this is a whole template of a training that I've done in an extraordinary way. Number one, you're going to have to pull everything out. It's like de-weeding a garden. You're going to have to truly get rid of the viruses. I don't know how many people attempt to put a new program on top of an already virus computer. Your tempo
Mm.
and the way you think and the way that you operate, you cannot become a better mother. You can't be a better father, a better friend. You can't be a better business person until you actually take the time to really rewire everything. You're going to have to get all these viruses out of the system. And if you remember AOL, you almost had to run it like 5 times because it was so deeply rooted in the system. After you get to the rewire, you're going to have to understand how to rewind. To rewind means you're going to have to remember all the things from a wisdom perspective, not look to be a perfectionist and avoid mistakes, but to be able to embrace as many mistakes as you can in the journey of where you're going so that you have those wisdoms and mistakes. Everybody wants a shortcut. The longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut. When I'm embarking upon a new program, as I did with digital currency, as I'm doing right now with learning 3 languages, as I'm doing right now with understanding kinesiology and understanding biology and understanding cancer, and as all of this goes down the rabbit hole, I am excited about the mistakes that I make and the modalities applied in order to know what does not work. Because if you go and you have to choose the number one golfer or the number one basketball player or the number one tennis player, hey, how about the number one attorney? Guess what they all have in common? If you look at anything, and I'm not even a golfer, even though I have a golfer's name, it's the person who makes what? The least amount of errors. When the
Mm.
football game, in that football game, the championship NFL football game, which I'm not an NFL buff, but do you know how many errors were in that game?
Errors. Yeah.
One.
Wow.
When that quarterback fumbled the ball, that
Yes.
game was over.
Wow.
When that running back made it to the 1 yard line, do you know that 99 people out of 100 professional football players have attempted to run to the 1 yard line and run out, and 99 have failed, and that this one person did it? This is a fact, by the way. Do you know how difficult it is to bob and weave and avoid defense running at you, 300-pound men running at you, everybody, everything on the gate, more people in the world looking at you ever in the history of one time, and you have to run at full force, 100 miles per hour towards that goal line and stop and get out on the 1 yard line
That's incredible. Wow.
and stop the clock to run it down because you know that you're so equally yoked and that both teams are so skilled that if they were given 2 minutes on that clock, they were either tied or won the game. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Wow.
And when that's why I said that time is the sixth person on the court in the last 2 minutes. Until a person knows how to put in the sub of that sixth man, that time, that's the partner nobody sees. That's the extra man on the field, on the hockey court, in the tennis play. When you can make time work for you versus against you because you became who you needed to become, that's when we have rewind. Now, obviously, in this call, we don't have time for the whole rewire training. So I'm just going to give you the words. You have to rewire. You have to then rewind. Then you have to remember. Then you have to go and then reset. Then you have to go and realign. Then you have to go and redesign. And then you have to go and reboot. And then you have to go and reevaluate. It's an amazing freaking training. It's an 8-day training, by the way, on each one of
Wow.
those.
Wow. Maybe if they buy the book, we'll get them on that training.
100%. In fact, if they did, in fact, they get on that book, I'll do the training for you. Anyone that's getting this book specifically, yeah, I'll do the training for you. I'll do an exclusive training for you, which I don't. I'm so underground right now, but yeah, it'll be my blessing to do so.
Do you know how much I miss your training? I mean, I
Oh,
just miss you, right? Um, there's an organization, you would know it. I think how can I forget the name? It's Byron, help me out here. It's a big organization. They do a ton of training. Rose part of it.
um,
Um, Landmark,
yeah,
Landmark Forum,
yeah, right, right, right,
right?
right. Landmark.
Landmark,
Uh-huh.
Landmark. So,
Hmm.
I've been going to Hong Kong. My kids,
Hmm.
my grandchildren are there. And for 4 or 5 years, I've been chasing and chasing. And you taught us that when you chase money, money runs away from you. You never chase anything. I think I'm really well connected. I'm a good networker. For 4 years, I've been trying to chase down people where I can do events together. And
Hmm.
selfishly, I want to do events just so I could write off my trip. So I think
Hmm.
just for the money. I just can't find anybody. But I know when you do a 2 day event for us here, I remember
Hmm.
one time, you guys, we did a 2 day event. And this happens almost every single time. I'll have individuals come up to me and say, Gordon, are you a graduate of Landmark? And I would say, no. Why do you ask? They said, well, everything that I just experienced with Dr. Byron Nelson is either the same or better. And
Hmm.
this is coming from individuals that are 1000% pro Landmark.
Hmm.
That's Dr. Byron Nelson, guys. Like, I miss you training. And I remember the early days when I first met you. You would come
Hmm.
up, you know, Chris would come
Hmm.
up. You guys
Hmm.
didn't have to come up. There was no
Hmm.
financial reason for you guys to come up. And I remember days. Do you remember when there used to be like 500, 600 people sitting there till 2, 3 in the morning,
Hmm.
and they wouldn't go home?
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I wish the folks that are watching right now, I mean, when if they can truly understand how much you've actually been holding back. There's folks that are seeing you online right now. You guys have not seen the real Mr. Byron Nelson. You haven't. You haven't.
So,
You talked about the dying second of the game.
mhm.
That's when championships are won or lost.
Yes.
If you want to put the ball in someone's hand, this is the person you want to put the. This is who you want. So
Yeah.
I did want to be able to sneak that in and say that. Sorry, I
Oh,
didn't
I
mean to
love it.
interrupt you. So
No,
please
no,
carry
not
on.
at all. No, I love you. I love you. I am. So, I mean, I am. The projects I'm working on right now are so surreal to me. We're coming out with our own skincare line, which is backed by one of the greatest distributors in the world. Cross section between Korea and some of the other partners that I have based here. And it's just amazing what we're capable of being able to do right now. Where my charger is. There it is. Um, being able to, I mean, I'm just excited about life. I'm so excited about um, just the things that are going on, the generators that we're working with. I get more excited about people's testimonials that are so beyond their wildest belief systems or dreams or wishes, if that makes sense. When
Mm,
we first started, what we did is we sold bottles of hope,
right.
right? Um, I sold a lot of hope. I got,
I'll tell you.
as you know, I'm one of the
We're
best in
good
the
at
world
it, though, right?
at selling hope. But you know
Listen,
what?
it's got.
I'm so
Are you
excited about right
saying?
now. The people
What
that
was
I
it?
work with now, um, it's not hope. There's not one person in my world that I work with now. And here in Canada, for example, Ty and Alicia, who just had their second baby, they are going
Oh,
to their
amazing.
second, third property. Someone like Fatney, who's now on her, I think, fourth or fifth Airbnb. The people that I'm working with now that have shifted into the world and stayed with me, all of them get a check at least 2 to 3 times a week. Everybody gets paid. And it was my commitment when I first started, but we weren't in a position to do that back then. Right now, I'm in a position where I've diversified and leveraged where we have generators. That's where me, Steve, and Pash have recircled and came back together. I'll be honest. I mean, it's scary
Yes.
because I'm not talking about a particular business and because I couldn't talk about lifestyle and business before, but because I'm who I
I
am today. In the last 3 years, honest to God's truth,
I
I'm not
totally
in,
relate to that. I totally
not in,
relate to that. Yeah.
I know you know. So I'm talking
Yes.
encrypted, but the family is on here and knows. I will by the end of this year have generated 4 times the amount of money in 3 years that I did in over 25 years of my life.
Amazing.
But
Amazing.
let me say this. Let me say this. Had I not put in that 25 years to become who I am, I wouldn't be able to truly have the
The way you.
wisdom and the
Yes.
knowledge to execute. Because what I wanted to do back then, unfortunately, there was a casualty trade. Today, I have people that are making my second best student, my second best student at 24 made his first 7 figures. At
Amazing.
in 22, he made over 4 million net. Last year, he made over 20 million. He just hit 30.
That's incredible.
And I can't take credit for it, but I can say I'm a light post and a
Yes.
blueprint. And he's one in a long line of now the ones that did not stay with the village and with the family. They're doing their own thing. I don't understand being broke when you know somebody that's been wealthy or that is. If there's no way with me knowing a Jay or knowing you or
Yes.
knowing a Sabir or knowing some of the people that I know, how could you have to worry about money in your life? There's
Right.
when you like I told you when we started this conversation, I lost somebody just this past week.
Yes.
There's so many other things with a new child, with a new relationship, with life in itself, to experience it in its full throttle. And I was having this conversation yesterday. Once you see something, like for example, Steve and Pasha had just come back from Dubai. I went to Vegas where I was supposed to meet them. So I'm actually meeting them in 2 weeks, ironically, and staying with them. But when you start to travel and you see Africa, as we talk about what we're doing with Ozeki, Ozeki, am I saying
Yes.
right? Ozeki,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay, right? And the irony of that conversation now has me doing business. As I had a meeting yesterday, we're doing it in Zambia. I'm doing business
Yes.
in Ghana. I'm having my
Amazing.
birthday party in Cape Town. I have
Wow.
another thing in which we are doing in Lagos,
Yes.
and that's just one place of the world. I mean, what we're doing in Morocco, what we're doing right now. There's so this world is. I say it all the time. The world is large to people who think small, and it's so small to the people who think large. Like, for example, I will only fly, I can count on less than two hands in my lifetime over the last 2 decades how many times I've flown coach. Now,
Wow.
I'm not downing that, but there's a
Yes.
story here. There's a metaphor here. I will either fly private or first class. And people are like, oh, you bougie, you got money. No, 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 it's not that. It's that I'm 6'4" and a half. And I
Mm.
made the mistake of flying coach for a long
Yeah.
flight, and my
It's
leg,
like,
I cannot
what
walk.
leg room? There is no
I
leg
walk
room.
with Gordon, I walked with a limp for over six
Yes.
months.
Yes. Wow.
And once you expand yourself, it becomes a muscle and
Yeah.
it becomes mandatory. There's no
Yeah.
way you can actually fly, not like a frequent flyer, friend's mile, or a friend works for you on the airline. There's no way somebody can put you on Emirates
Yes.
or on Delta, on one of the best jets worldwide. I could use every flight. You know, I'm very global. So
Yes.
there's no way you can experience that and ever go back to coach
Yeah. Yes.
because you understand for a 5, 6 hour flight, what you just did to go to Hong Kong. I know how much you've been
Yeah.
traveling over the last
14
3 months.
hours.
It's 14 hours. You understand my peace of mind and my relaxation and my sleep are so much more important than me trying to penny pinch and look at how much I'm paying to save $1.
Yes.
And I told people, I said, let me tell you what it's like when, and I use that metaphorically, right? When you nickel and dime your quality of life.
Yeah.
I hope everybody's getting that. When you nickel and dime, the metaphor is all about how the quality of life you live. The difference is because we were born with not much, or our parents didn't have anything, or we were taught how to budget and nickel and dime and penny pinch. It's like buying your favorite pair of shoes,
Mm.
the most gorgeous pair of shoes you ever wanted, but you're young, so you don't know the difference between some shoes from Payless and a pair of Ferragamos. You don't know the difference of a quality shoe versus these plastic shoes. All you know is you're young, that's nice, shiny, and bright, and amongst your peer group, who's all broke too,
Yes.
that you're going to look better than everybody else. So you buy these shoes, and you're like, I want these shoes. And they're like, okay, sir, we understand. But we only have them in a 14 and a size 10. And you
Mm.
say, but I wear an 11. Sir, we only have them in a 14 and a size 10. So what does that person that has that child, ignorant, broke mentality do? I'm going to take the 10s and make them fit. It may be tight, but I can fit them until 2 years later, your feet look like this. And you got corns all on
Wow.
your feet and your feet all hurting. And you don't realize that you have been compromising your feet until you get to an age that you know that you need your feet and don't understand why you did that. And the price. See, the price for success. We're talking about landed for success. The book everybody should be getting here. Everybody needs to get this. I know the stories in this book. I know the people in this book. The price for success is paid for upfront, no layaway plan. You want the
Wow.
body you want? There's a price. You want the relationship you want? There's a price. See, everybody says, I want to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to tell you what they want as far as success is concerned. I want a new life. I want a new address. I want a new man. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want this. I need that. But what they don't do is establish the price, which is why people have a quitmication on everything that they do. They quit everything. People are like, why did they quit? Because they didn't establish the price before they started. You can't say, I want to be a vice president. I want to be a CEO. I want to be a boss. You can't say I want to be an RVP, SVP. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want somebody who's going to love me the way I want to be loved. This is what I won't stand for. These are my deal breakers up front. You can't set all these parameters and not establish what you're willing to give in exchange for what you want. So one of the greatest things sitting at the foot of Jim Rohn, I learned, and it was just me and three people sitting at this conversation. And it's a known quote for those that are good readers. He said, if you pay the highest price long enough, strong enough to where it will almost break you because your passion is there, your purpose is there, your intention is there, it's your destiny. Without understanding, you don't have to understand how come you got to come up with an extra $2,000 for an hour with me. You don't have to understand why you got to come up with, getting a teacher and a mentor. You don't need to understand that. You just need to understand why. The how, 90% of the population fails because they want the how to first. The 5 to 10% that completely wreck success, take it to a whole nother level, that make the world stop and applaud them. They made a decision and figured out the how to along the way. But what Mr. Rohn was saying is if you work hard enough where you do way more than you were ever worth paying, meaning you got paid only $5, $10, $100, $1,000, but you did $10,000 worth of work. How many people complain about, I did all this work and this is all I got paid? I did all this and put all this in and this, I don't know if this is worth it. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should. I'm not sure. I put this much time into this relationship. How much more time did I put in a relationship? Why'd you get into it? Right? I don't know how much more I can put into this project I got into. I mean, it's just I made way more than this outside of I thought this would be more in return. But if you do way more than what's expected of you, and you put in and invest way more than what's expected of you, at some point you're going to get paid way more than you ever did.
Wow.
Way more than what you ever did. And that is the mentality that a person needs to understand when embarking upon the journey of landed for success is that price for success is paid for in full. You've got to establish. You don't go buy a coat, a jacket, a moose jacket. You don't go buy a pair of shoes without establishing, can I afford it? But so many people are leveraging themselves into situations before establishing the price. And once they understand what the price is, they bail.
Mm.
And it's like, that's on you because you're setting a pattern. Your kids are watching you. Your friends are watching you. They're listening to you. You're saying and you're optimistic and you're excited about all this, but they're saying your life hasn't changed in the last 3 years. Your address hasn't changed in the last 3 years. Your car hasn't changed in the last 3 years. Your outfits have not changed in the last 3 years. Your mentality has not changed in the last 3 years. But you want to promise people something that you haven't been willing to pay the price for. Interesting.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow, I wish we had like an entire day with you. I want to thank you so much for being here. For the folks who are watching, this is my great friend, Dr. Byron Nelson. When it comes to the power of the human potential, I want to use that word potential. I don't
Mhm.
know anybody who can actually not just inspire and motivate, but transform you into an individual that can act. If you really are coachable and teachable, and they talk about having a strong work ethic, this is the individual you want to get together with. I'm working with a individual in Hong Kong, and this kid is the kids are so smart, like you mentioned. I call him a kid. He's
Mhm.
like maybe 28, uh,
Mhm.
veterinarian, gave up his career. He's an entrepreneur, struggled and struggled, and he pivoted. And today he's working with, if you're a coach, he can show you how to work 10 to 20 hours less a week and literally double and triple your income by putting systems together. See, system scares the crap out of me because I've never been a systems person. I
Right.
have a system, it's all in my head. I'm like a one-man wrecking machine. And so if you put a system together for me, it's going to scare me. It's like the 4 different personality type, right?
Right.
But
Right.
so where am I going with this? So when I'm looking at individuals who can help you be productive, there are kids out there today that are saying, work less and be more productive. And if you can do that, I'm saying that's great. I have some individuals that are saying to me that you don't have to work hard anymore. I'm shaking my head like that's the only thing I know how to do, right? And when Byron, I heard him say this some 20 plus years ago, the one thing you can never do is outwork me. I think we lost him. Hopefully he'll come back. Because the one thing you can never do is outwork me. And I believe that, for some of you, success, right? Landing for success. I hope Byron comes back soon, you guys. Some people talk about success. You don't have to put in the work and effort. There's systems that can help you do that. Like, let's say Chat GPT, not to knock that, right? You don't have to write anymore. Just let AI write for you. Wow. I mean, when do we stop thinking for ourselves? Right? We got to write. Like, we got to continue to learn. We got to continue to put out the effort, because if we don't, somebody's going to outwork us. And so one last conversation I had with somebody was this: if you want the success, like if you see someone, let's say like a Dr. Byron Nelson, I used to believe this: find out what he does and just do it 10 times more than he does, and you can be a success. I still believe that. And I had somebody say to me, you don't need to do that. And then when I look at their lifestyle, right? People that are telling you they're successful, there's lifestyle changes. You'll see those lifestyle changes. Even if they're not showing up, you'll see them. Like, you fly first class, not because you want to show up, but because you can.
Right.
The summer we wanted to rent a vacation home for a week. Nothing's for rent. We finally pulled a trigger and we rented a place. It's 11 grand just for a week, right? And a buddy might call me the next day and say, hey, I've got a place. It's only 25. Do you want it? And it's a 12,000 square foot.
Exactly.
It's right up in the Muskoka. So I wanted just to share that with you, from my perspective for a second, that Land of Success. Look, I've also been there when I couldn't afford a cup of coffee. And Byron will tell you that we used to do a lot of coffee meetings.
Yep.
And I would take somebody out for a coffee, and I'd buy them a cup of coffee. And then they would say to me, Gordon, would you like a cup of coffee? And my answer was always, no, I'm coffeeed out. But the reality was I just could not afford that second cup of coffee. Right? That was the reason. So
you're paying our price.
Paying the price. I want to see if we can finish with this. Pivoting. You talked about shifting and pivoting. And I know you didn't go into details, and I don't expect you to. But the reality is, because of COVID, you had to pivot.
Oh, I pivoted.
You had to look like adversity, right? Napoleon says every adversity, every heartache. I probably missed something out there.
Right.
You also see equal or greater opportunity. We never think of that when the crap hits the fan. It's like, come on, how can it be any better?
Right.
Could you share a little bit with that? Finish with that. If anybody's out there watching right now, thinking, "Oh, come on!" Like, you guys are talking like, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
You're doing okay,
Yeah.
but right?
Yeah. Let me. I
Like
can.
that.
First, let me do this. I did this. This is what cut me off before. Hopefully, it doesn't. I wanted to acknowledge some people, because I was looking on the. I'm not on Facebook. I'm just directly on just where we could just see the two of us, and I didn't see the chat. Obviously, I see my sister Pasha on here. Lester, I love you. I see you on there. I don't know if they still are, but I just want to acknowledge them. Obviously, Jessica, who's obviously doing amazing with her book with the with flight attendant, which is that's my baby. I love her for life. And I just don't want to miss anybody there. I think I got
got Tom Chester
Tom, I
there,
did say Tom.
viewers.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Yeah.
Yes, Tom, I see you.
Hey,
Well,
sir.
you see a
Yeah.
different list than I do. I'm
Diana.
seeing, yeah, let's see, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just want to acknowledge that real quick. Okay. Now,
Uh, could be could be just a weak internet. We'll have Mr. Nelson come back. We're gonna wrap up, you guys. So again, uh, here he is. Here we
okay.
go.
So I don't know what that does when I go backwards, but in acknowledging everybody, the question is, or addressing, what am I addressing specifically again, Gordon? So I'm clear. The people
Pivot.
that are, oh, they'd
Yeah.
have less. Okay, I got it. So I hate to live off of the cliches of life, but for every new level, there's a new devil, which is the truest
Mm,
statement. Money is relative. So people have um, a different perspective on, everybody has a different interpretation when it comes to money. But my tribe, our family, and you're welcome to have access if you put it in the chat, or you can find me, you can find my uh, put in Messenger. I'll look for today, even though I don't normally do so. I'm easy to find, or find Gordon, or find anybody that's
yeah.
associated with us. Because I did a complete rebuild for ground zero. I call it ground zero. And what I
Mm,
mean by ground zero is people that had nothing from jail to Yale. That money is relative. It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion or if you have $100. How you live your life today is going to make all the difference where you're going to be. If you actually had to see where you're going to be 5 years from today, if you actually had to see where you're going to be 2 years from today, if you had a conversation with the doctor, or let's just say that you died and went to heaven and God gave you another chance and sent you back down here and said, I'm going to give you until December 31st of 2023 to get your affairs in order. And you do inventory of the last 5, 6, 7 days of your life, but you have still had the same conversations, the same activity, which you've still invested your time or spent your time the same you did over the last 7 days. If you knew that you had an expiration on December 31st of this year, and I would venture to say 99 out of 100 would say no, you would be living your life completely different if you really knew for a fact you were done on the 31st. And once you take that into consideration, then you'll understand what Gordon is saying in regards to uh, a person has nothing. Yes, you guys have arrived. You have this money. You have these titles. You have this whatever. That's until you rewrite the story. Unfortunately, Gordon, people have to be put in a situation. I'll give you a story. There was this bus that was hit by a 18 wheeler, and they're all sitting there. And actually, this is what I love about this. Like you said, Gordon, what I'm doing with the next level of the tribe is the reason why people don't make money is because they don't know how to tell stories.
mm,
Until a person has massively understood the framework of a story, like you said, you're plugging. That's what I'm high about now. Is the students I have now, I'm able to do where I couldn't do it before with what I was doing. All I could do them is teach them the techniques for
yes.
applications for a
Yes.
system that was faulty or worked. It didn't matter. But now I'm able to actually teach people. The person who I told you was making this money, they had nothing. I have a person that
Mm,
literally could not, last year, 21, they could not pay their rent. Literally have a person who I taught them how to leverage $10,000, create their story, and in a year's time they put 500,000 in their pocket. That is a story.
wow.
See,
Wow.
here's the key behind this.
That's
The key
that's
behind this,
incredible.
I mean, and here's the story. I'm telling you, Gordon, the key is people want to tell you what they're doing and how they're doing it and what projects they're up to. See, if you're busy talking about it, you don't have time to do it. What
Yeah.
I'm doing, I get a greater high out of knowing what I'm doing for individuals.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I do for my individuals, my family, what I'm supposed to do, I never have to tell anybody what I do.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
become And because the bigger their story, the bigger my name is, because I put them
Yes.
in a position to live a life they never imagined.
Yeah.
And so the story behind what's going on now of being able, and that's what I'm doing starting in April, is teaching I have what is called the 40. And these 40 are already beasts, which you know about Camille, which you know about, I
Yes.
could go down a list of them, right? Of the ones they're doing work in Tanzania, they're giving back, they're making money. They are still toggling between a job, trying to be a father, trying to be a mother, a husband, and wife, and trying to figure out their finances. 1 year, I'm everything shifts. So what has happened from the pandemic to now? I've mastered the system of creating the shift, and the core of it is storytelling. Now back to the story, because the storytelling for those who want to learn that is
Yes.
masterful. It's really about enrollment registration activation, which is a whole system in itself. Because when you go to college, you're enrolled. When you date somebody, you're enrolled. When you start to get
Wow.
married, you're gonna be enrolled. Until you master the art of enrollment, which comes with the essence of a story, you will always be broke because you can't reach the heart without being able to tell like just a story that is amazing, prayerfully yours or living off of somebody else's until. Now,
Yes.
the 18 wheeler hits this bus, and everybody's on the brink of death. They're in the hospital.
Mm.
All of a sudden, all the family members start showing up. One's an engineer, one is Jewish, another one is Muslim, another one is atheist, another one's a single mom. Her child was on the bus. Another one is a CEO worth millions for this tech company. And all these family members are sitting in the waiting room.
Mm.
One by one, 48 hours later, prayer, meditation, the Torah being read, the Gita being read, the Bible being read, everybody's still aligning themselves. But they all came together for 48 hours in that waiting room for all of the people that were supposed to be deemed dead on arrival.
Wow.
One by one on the third day, each one came out alive. Some more dinged up than others, but each one came out alive. In that moment, everyone in the waiting room who disliked the other, the Muslim who hated the Jew, the Christian who disliked and didn't want to have anything to do with the atheists, the Black, the Ukrainian that hugged the Russian, the one from South Korea was loving on the other one from North Korea. Everybody was
Mm.
crying. Everybody was loving. Everybody was thankful until we get to a point that we don't have to wait until lives are on the line to get rid of all isms, racism, feminism, nepotism, judgment, comparison. Can we all help each other prosper and live the most ridiculous, amazing life built on the one word that was sacrificed most for us as a human race, which is called love?
Wow.
That's the game.
Wow. Wow. So powerful. Love.
So easy to find.
Wow.
I love you, man. Whenever you need me, I'm a phone call away. Easy to find.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And
Get the
everyone that's
book.
watching, connect with Dr. Nelson. Let me know if you guys want to connect with him. Just let me know, and I'm happy to connect with you. Connect you
Please.
guys with him. Yeah.
Be my
But
honor.
yeah, grab a copy of the book, you
I
guys.
don't care what planet I'm on. I don't care what country I'm in. I'm picking up 10 of the new Landed for Success books and making sure I bless 10 special people. That's my number for this week is 10. So I'm getting 10 and making sure I have 10 people. I'm gonna wrap it with a ribbon and then have coffee with them and have them to discuss it with me 30 days
I
later.
love it.
That's how you bless people. I'm in.
That's amazing.
So I'll do
Sounds like
that
a
this
book
week.
club we can do. Let's do a book
There you
club on
go.
that.
I'm with you on that. Let's go.
Yeah,
All right.
I love it.
All
Awesome.
right, man.
Any 30, 60-second final thoughts from you?
The final thoughts are just really, where we are is Live now. Live in the now. Um, don't take any one or thing for granted, any one person for granted. Whatever grudges you have, learn how to forgive yourself and others quickly. Thank you, Lester. I see you, brother. Learn how to forgive people quickly, but you can't forgive others until you learn how to forgive yourself. So if you learn how to forgive, a lot of times, I'm telling you, it made all the difference in the world. I shared this last week. A lot of times people don't understand to forgive someone else is not making them right, but allowing you to let go.
Wow. Wow. That is absolutely so powerful.
So
Wow. Thank you so much.
definitely love you,
Yeah.
man. Reach out to
Thank
me. I
you.
got to go real quick, but I'm here
Okay.
whenever you need me, 24/7.
Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Love you,
Thank
fam.
you, everyone.
Okay, baby. Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.